And now Reuven joins me live in the studio today. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure, Felix. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. So, what makes Selfoss your dream pop trio?
Oh, dude. It is a dream, but dream pop's actually referring to the musical style.
Oh, okay. So
it's
different than what I thought. I thought it is your dream pop trio,
totally
and it also refers to the genre dream pop.
Right.
So what is dream pop then?
Great, yeah. Basically, dream pop comes from, it's sort of an interchangeable term with something called shoegaze, I guess, is how it's thrown around today, which is a movement, I'm not good with years, but kind of in the 90s of sort of people, these kind of like rock and roll groups, mainly from England, kind of reinventing like indie rock. And it's called, the term shoegaze got coined because these guitar players would use like a bunch of pedals and like stare down at their feet and like not care about the audience, and they're just staring at their shoes and playing to us, but it's actually they're just like mad with their pedals and changing effects, and it's all about like kind of the sound is like a big part of it, the soundscape.
So dream pop is derived from shoegaze.
Exactly. So shoegaze is sort of like the purist genre that was coined like kind of in the 90s, and sort of now there's like a rebirth of bring a bit more pop sensibility. So you'll take like, you know, the group like Tame Impala, for example, or even Miley Cyrus actually has 2 songs that a lot of like dream popists and shoegazers would call like pretty like traditional in that sense. But anyway, it's basically just take a pop form, throw a bunch of effects on it, and dreamy, you know, kind of qualities. And there's certain characteristics like the vocals are really embedded in the mix. Lyrical themes are usually sad. Things like that, you know.
Mm-hmm. And what do you... So there's the dream pop genre.
Yeah.
And then it's also your dream.
It is.
To have this trio. Why is that? What makes it so special to you?
Yeah. I think with any... Like, ever since doing music, it's always about collaborating, and it's about, like, I never saw myself, like, playing solo or doing anything like that. Like, the most fun I've ever had is, like, jamming and, like, writing music with people, you know, and playing with people. Yeah, and just, like, all 3 groups that you mentioned that I'm a part of, that I'm so happy to be a part of, we all have the same kind of aspirations musically, personally, and best of all, like, we're all, like, great friends. So it would be a dream to play with them every day, right? Right.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you don't like being in the spotlight. You don't like doing solo?
Totally. Yeah, don't like to do that.
Where did that come from?
I don't know. Like, I think it takes like a certain kind of person like to do that, but usually I think, like, at least for myself, from my own experience, it's like when you can collaborate with people, that's like when you can get the best work. So it's like if I have 2 mana points and you have 2 mana points and we combine our 2 mana points, we get like 8 mana points together. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then we can use our ice spell. Right?
Right. So you feel that there's more musical chemistry. There's more that you can bring to the table with 2 people as opposed to 1.
Yes, and it goes exponentially so, I think. Like, if you can work that way. So it can, like, it's pros and cons, right? So you get a group of like 50 people. If you have everyone writing and everyone jamming and stuff, it can get chaotic, right? But let's say you got like 2 or 3 people, everyone's writing the lyrics together or on their own bringing it in kind of thing. Everyone's jamming together. Everyone's doing, and we tackle like all the non-musical aspects, which is most of it, right? Like the promotion, booking shows, all that kind of stuff. And when you have like everyone kind of doing 1/3 of that, like together, I don't know. I think it's a better output.
Do you ever have to play the same hits with Selfoss?
Well, I guess we just have like a smaller repertoire. I guess like even with our EP, it's like 4 songs. So our sort of philosophy is like quality over quantity. So it's like we got enough music for like a 50-minute set. So if we got a 45, it's usually like 1 song's interchangeable or something like that, you know? So we'll kind of do all the music we have. That's sort of what we're at right now. And we'll play differently by like doing the same songs, but maybe adding a jam at one part, or I'll change the words by accident, or, you know, things will happen. So
what do you think of other pop bands in the Toronto music scene right now? What's your take on those bands?
Yeah,
you think pop is going in the right direction?
Yeah, I guess relative to like in the last 10 years, absolutely, totally.
What is it doing right?
Pop music. I think. Well, I'm just trying to think of like. I think there was sort of a kind of a bad time. I think, for example, I think now the bad time is kind of for country music in terms of mediocrity, like just sort of everything. Like that's. I think like the big complaint is a lot of people say everything sounds the same or the themes are the same. Like now you look at like top 40 on many billboards, you get different artists, different styles, different instrumentations. Like on top 10 you'll have like an Adele playing piano and singing singer-songwriter style, but you'll also have like that kind of EDM thing, that that top 40 thing. You'll have that like the country tune. You'll have like your oddball of things.
Right, you have like Kendrick.
Yeah,
have,
Kendrick
like,
Lamar. Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll have like such a huge variety, which is like kind of what I think the golden times of like the 90s or I don't know, whatever people look up to. But like I remember 2010-ish, maybe even a little bit before, it was like all the songs were sort of that like dance music thing. Like every song were lyrically the same.
Mariah Carey.
Yeah, like and every artist that wasn't that was on the radio is like had that song or had that time. So you either caught the trend or you didn't. And then now I think we've kind of like outgrown that a bit. It's still dying down. And don't get me wrong, I freaking love that style. But it's nice, I think, for any growth to see like popular music being diverse.
How about in the Toronto scene? Do you see a lot of bands similar to what you're doing with Selfoss?
That's a great question. Not too many. There's like a few that like I really look up to. A lot of groups I really, really love, and we try to play with, and I always try to go to their shows. But I think like the dream pop thing, I think it's kind of more of an underground kind of thing, and that's where it sort of came from. Like even the biggest kind of groups at the time, they're the biggest now because of like the discovery of the internet and like kind of that resurgence of the dream pop kind of coming back. Like at the time, like the big groups, for example, they're called like Slow Dive, My Bloody Valentine. These are like kind of the big names at the time. Ride, Verve kind of went there too. They at the time they sort of weren't really appreciated, and like the albums they recorded that are like hits today were. Sorry, I'll go back a bit. Basically, in the UK, the way they explained it, I just saw their documentary. They're saying that like whatever write-up they got, that's what everyone read. So whatever review they got, it's like the fans, everyone themselves, the other musicians, like that was their reputation. So if they got one bad review, that's like it. Now there's so many sources, it's hard to believe, with the climate and like and all kinds of things like that. So now people are like, we're in an age of rediscovering things. There's like you can listen to any kind of music, you can watch any kind of movie right now on the computer, right?
Right. So it's similar with the dream pop thing and all those other bands that are similar, that are in a similar vein, right? With the proliferation of social media and the internet, then people can kind of judge for themselves whether they like you or not. Is that how it is for Selfoss?
Yeah, I guess so. It's like this music, I think, can only happen. Like it's only happening because of those factors. Now, like so, you're saying like in Toronto, so other groups like that, like dream pop would have been like another kind of dead genre, or like
so like, the resurgence happened.
The resurgence happened because of that social media climate in the last like 10 years, right? And actually, as a direct relationship, this is really interesting. What I like about this movement is like. These bands all broke up. So Ride, My Bloody Valentine, Slow Dive, they're like, let's say, the trifecta of this shoegaze dream pop genre. As of today, all three of them are back together, and I think at least two of the three are going to or have put out a record in the last 2 years. And
are these Toronto bands?
Sorry, none of these are Toronto groups, yeah. I think America or UK? I'm bad, but yeah, but like that's crazy, right? It's like... you started kind of seeing that like a few years ago. Like I remember like Rolling Stones like doing a concert. You know what I mean? It's like where did that come from? They weren't active for a long time.
Guns N' Roses.
Like so many. Yeah, like groups from like our parents' generations or any kind of generation. It's sort of like I think the internet and that kind of discovering music, kind of making it eternal. I think makes things come back and people rediscovering things.
Right. So you think that with a band like the Stones or GNR, they came together because people really wanted that and they heard that through the internet?
Or money. I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to say.
That's it. Yeah, that's a bit of both.
Yeah, like, but it's interesting to see like a direct relationship of like people discovering music on the internet and being like, oh, like there's groups. Like there's like a shoegaze Facebook group with 20,000 people in it. That's crazy. Like that was like one of those things that like if I were to walk on this like on a street in a cultured city like Toronto, I couldn't probably find one person that would like know about the music that much, you know what I mean? Or like any kind of like counterculture kind of thing.
Okay,
and then
counterculture. So you think that is shoegaze and dream pop, are they fringe dwellers in terms of the mainstream culture? Are they counterculture?
That's a great question. I'm so bad with history, but like,
would you say now
so.
that yes?
I think like, again, I'm gonna take a line I think from an Oasis documentary. So they were like if you think of like British rock, it's like Rolling Stones, Beatles, right, in like the 50s, 60s kind of, and then there's like Blur, Oasis was like the second time where that like sort of this thing happened where there were these bands that like everyone in the world exploded all over in terms of popularity and like so many hit singles and things like that. And they said the day Britpop died was when like Noel Gallagher from Oasis shook hands with like the president of Britain or the whatever it is, you know what I mean?
Because he infiltrated the mainstream.
Exactly, because they were always like about the people, middle class, like we're, you know, the punk rock kind of attitude, right? And definitely I think dream pop kind of came from there and still is there. It's kind of interesting because I notice a lot of like the groups I look up to in the genre today, they sort of have the same attitude. Actually, one of the clips, I don't know which ones you're going to play first, but one of the bands, they're called Were. Unfortunately, they're not together anymore. But they were and still are in many, like one of my favorite bands ever. And they broke up like I think about a year ago. But like on their Facebook page, Twitter, social media, they're known for like bashing their fans, basically. You know what I mean? And to me, that's like the sort of like kind of punk thing of that movement. That particular thing I don't like kind of do, I guess. but
you can't really afford
I like the
to do
music.
that.
Yeah, it's like you know when you go to a concert, on an off note, this kind of makes sense though. You know when you go to a concert and you're like, I love the music so much, but I totally don't fit with this crowd.
Yes.
That's kind of how I feel a little bit.
As a musician?
With that style, like I guess. Or like I went to like Heavy MTL, the Montreal Metal Fest, like 3 years ago.
Right.
That's totally how I felt. I'm like, oh man, I love all these bands so much, but can we please not mosh? Is that okay? Can
I? Do you find? I don't want to dwell on this too long, but do you find the audiences for your group, for Selfoss, they tend to be of a certain disposition, like certain attitude? They have a similar attitude.
That's a great question. I think like we're still discovering that. You know what I mean? We're still trying to figure out like who's your target audience, right? Who would like your music the most? What are they thinking? Like what's their attitude for sure? As of right now, I think it's hard to say because we'll just like try to play for anyone that's willing to listen. So it's
right. So you're still building that following.
Yeah. So it's like we're still learning, still doing that kind of stuff. So it's hard to say, I guess. Generally, I don't think anyone's sort of that kind of punk counterculture attitude. Everyone's like really positive and receptive, I guess. I don't know. It's
a little too early.
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
To know.
It's hard to tell.
So we were talking off air about how you about watermeloning. Watermeloning.
Yeah.
You knew I was gonna bring it up.
Yes, right? Thank you.
Okay, so why do you like
watermelons?
Yeah. Okay, let's first explain the concept of watermeloning.
Totally. So for those of you that are unfamiliar,
which is most
because I'm not even familiar. I'm pretty sure we made it up. Basically, like, you know when you're in like elementary or high school choir, and you're singing and you don't know the words. So you basically meld the words.
Right.
And there's certain things you can't do. You can't say snake. You can't do snake because not that many words look like snake. Every word looks like watermelon. So watermelon, just mouth watermelon and you're good.
When did you last watermelon?
Oh man.
On stage?
That's wow. Okay, so in a quartet, I think people would notice if I watermeloned. So I try not to watermelon then. But watermeloning is a way of life. So I think you sort of just do it, you know. And I don't know.
Can you remember the last time you did it?
You know what? Probably. I shouldn't say with which group, but
was it in high school?
No, definitely not.
Was it with
more recent?
Was it a professional?
Probably like a community choir kind of thing.
Okay.
Like a year or two ago.
And what happened? Why were you not prepared?
Yeah, you know what? I know which group it is. So like for example, one group, it's just like we'll have like one rehearsal or two rehearsals in a year, and then like one big show or something like that.
So it's one of those community choirs where you're
like a community choir.
You're not really paid that well.
At all, yeah. Yeah, no, it's cool. But like everyone's doing it for the love of it, and it's great, and it's so much fun. But like there's a lot of music to learn, and I think it's during a time like this where school's really heavy, you know, and there's just like so much stuff going on. And yeah, so there's like a huge repertoire. We do like a 2-hour show, all memorized. Like we don't use. There's choreography and things too, so there's like no sheet music.
Right.
So you can read, but you can't read on stage. So like you pick your battles, you know. You got to pick your songs and pick your watermelons, you know.
Do you think you've gotten as much as you deserved?
Wow, that's a great question. I think so. Because I want to like say I deserve nothing because
why? Why do you say that?
Because like who am I to be so lucky to do something they love? Because I know like I've worked odd jobs that I really didn't love, and I know most people I know do jobs they don't love. So in many ways, I'm so privileged to first of all have discovered what I love, and I know that this is like a lifetime goal. So in many ways, I'm really lucky. So that's like the greatest gift right off the bat, right there.
So you're saying that because of the job, the nature of the job that you do, that you feel as though you deserve nothing?
Well, yeah, it's this sounds bad because obviously, like, I think any artist, any person deserves like compensation for their work and stuff. But realistically, like, if you can ask like any like artist, I would assume they would say like they do it first because they love it, then try to make a way to survive off it. You know what I mean?
But would you not say that you deserve something for all of the work that you've put in?
Yeah, I think so. And so you're saying, did I get what I deserve? So I think so because I have. I think. You know, to a certain degree. So I definitely think I did. But the greatest joy, like I'm telling you, from like those kind of gigs and shows, it's like I could die right now. It's like this is all I could ever want in life. You know what I mean? I have I have everything I want in life, and it's only gonna get better from here.
You could die right now.
Yeah, I could. I might. But I gotta level up with my fishing and
you gotta finish the interview first.
Yes.
I won't have anyone to interview.